Welcome to SNAP, Survivors of Narcissistic and Abusive Personalities. This educational recovery podcast is presented by Claremont Mental Health and Mandy Friedman, licensed professional clinical counselor. This presentation contains vital information for survivors of abuse. Topics include the spectrum of abusive personalities, targets of abuse, abusive relationships, and survivors in recovery. We hope this information helps you gain solid footing and clarity as you navigate your road to recovery.
Hi, I tried to do this video this morning. I messed it up. I did not have my shit together, but I think I do now, so I'm gonna give it another shot. Okay, I'm Mandy Friedman, licensed professional clinical counselor, clinically certified domestic violence counselor, clinically certified trauma professional, the owner of Claremont Mental Health, and the creator of SNAP, Survivors of Narcissistic and Abusive Personalities. Today I wanna talk to you about cars, cell phones, control, and terror. Abusers use cell phones or mobile devices, your laptop, computer, tablets, whatever the case may be, and cars or your transportation to terrorize you and to control you. And I have found this to be a common tactic used by abusers in the lives of my clients and stories that I've heard. So I thought, you know what, we should probably talk about this because it's happened to enough of us. Okay, so we'll start with, why is it that abusive people use cars and cell phones to terrorize and control? Well, one is that it connects us to the outside world. Your cell phone is a source of support, information, education, setting up things that could potentially help you, communicating with your family and your friends, maybe even having a video telehealth therapy session. It's where you store your contacts. You have access to your documents and photos and your social media. And really, it's the window to the outside world. So abusers want to cut us off and isolate us. So that's one reason why they use cell phones to control us. Another reason that they will use cars to control us is for similar things, is that, you know, that's how we get out and about, that's how we meet new people, that's how we get to our self-care locations perhaps. It's where we go to get refueled, and so they want to make sure that the car is something that winds up being chaotic or stressful, the availability of it, so on and so forth. So it also is a source of privacy. Your cell phone, your device, and the things that go on and what you're trying to accomplish, it also provides a little bit of privacy for you in a lot of ways. It's your little world on your cell phone. And the same with your car. You can go into your car and do a phone call. You can go somewhere to gain privacy, and they don't want us to have any privacy at all. And why is that? Well, remember that narcissistic people, abusive people, often struggle with having more than one frame of reference, meaning that they don't have more than one perspective that they can try on, and it's their own perspective, and therefore they project, meaning that when they're accusing you of something, it's because that's how their mind works, right? So if they're all up in your cell phone and they're looking through all your stuff, and who's this? And, you know, what's this about? Who is that? That kind of stuff. Could be that they themselves are doing things on their cell phone that they shouldn't be doing, right? Because why else would they be so, and they'll lie and say, my ex cheated on me and she used the cell phone to do it. And so therefore, when you're on your cell phone, I'm triggered by that, and I need to have full access to your cell phone and to your devices in order for me to feel that I can trust you and feel safe in this relationship. Heard that one? Anybody? Anybody? Huh? All right. Right. How many of us, and I can't see you and we can't see each other, but please, you know, just raise your hand, shoot a little note, make a little comment, right? If this has happened to you, if you have stories about this, boy do I, and boy do I have I heard a lot of stories about these things as well. So in other words, since they use their cars and they use their devices to be up to no good, then they assume that that's what you're doing when you're just going to the fucking grocery store, or you're texting your grandma, or your kid's teacher, and they're like, what's going on? You're like, it's the kid's teacher. And they're like, you know, and they still act like you're up to something. You're like, boy, what a horrible place to be in your head, to be so suspicious all the time that the person you're supposedly in love with and trust the most and your partner in life would just on a whim get in the car and go cheat randomly, be on the phone. Oh, wait, because that's what they do, right? And that's why they assume that that's what we're doing. It exposes them in a way when they start accusing us of things. Okay, so they're doing things that they're accusing us of doing things that they themselves are guilty of. They're trying to cut us off and isolate us and keep us from resources and perspectives and education and knowledge and help. So let's give a couple of examples of how this may have played out. So one story would be this particular person, when she started dating an abusive person, every time he went to go and log on to his cell phone or to his computer. Now, of course, this didn't happen right at the beginning. You know, it happened over time. But he trained her like a dog to turn her head and look away every time he was getting onto his phone or to his computer in order that she can't see his password. Okay. And yet the same person required her to give full access and put a tracker on her car to, you know, make sure that he had full access to everything she was doing, but she wasn't allowed to look at anything he was doing. Anyway, fast forward, they're not together anymore. Now she's in a new relationship and she is, you know, dating someone new. And at some point he's getting onto his computer. She's standing there. They're doing something together at the computer. And when he goes to log on, she turns her head. And he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, you know, I'm just giving you privacy. So you're putting in your password and, you know. And he's like, you don't have to turn your head when I log into the computer. I don't care if you see my stuff or my password. She's like, oh, right, of course. like a trained dog, you know, just automatically turning of the head. Okay, so that's one cell phone story. There was something else I was going to bring up that I know that we've all had happen. It'll come to me in just a second. But it does have to do with cell phones. But let's move on to cars and how cars, transportation, the use of cars or being in cars is used to terrorize and control targets of abuse. Well, one way that it's done has to do with the car never being available or broken down, and then that partner, the abusive partner, not doing things that needs to get done in order for the car to be in workable order. So now life is stressful, but they're almost like dragging their heels at getting things taken care of, or they'll promise that they're going to get something fixed on the car and then they don't actually get it fixed, or you go ahead and go to get it fixed and then they're mad at you for getting it fixed even though you've been waiting for them to fix it. They just mess with you and they're crazy making. No, you can't take the car today because I need to do such and such. And you're like, okay, well, that would have been great to know because I just made all these plans and I have to take the kids here and take them there. Well, you know, my car's not working, I have to take yours. Or things like if you share a car or you drive their car, when they get in the car after you've driven it, they're all mad because you moved their seat or you changed the station. And it's like every time, you know, you have to make sure that you don't touch anything in their car. Or they won't let you drive their car at all, ever, no matter what. If they're drunk or anything, like they will not let you drive. So there, you know, there's lots of different tactics used. But then there's like while you're actually in the car and it's moving, and they decide that's when you're going to have a fight. Now, if you're driving, they'll pull the wheel, and this has happened to a lot of my clients. They'll, like, you know, pull the wheel to the point that the car's kind of swerving and you're feeling scared, or they'll grab you by the collar, you know, while you're driving, or punch you or poke you, or grab you while you're driving and you're scared. One story someone told me was, you know, he was doing this to her in the car, and at one point she said to him, you know, you're going to kill me. I'm going to die. We're going to die. And he said, well, it's fine because your kids will be better off without you. You know, so these are the kinds of things that go on. Darn it, there was one really good example and I couldn't wait to tell you. And it has slipped my mind. This is what happens when you do things live. darn it. Something to do with the cell phone and something that we've all done. Oh, I know what it is. Okay. Again, let's raise our hands because this is everybody. How many of you have had the idea or thought that somebody had downloaded a spy app to your phone? Something that you couldn't see or find, but somehow they were able to tell where you were, what you were doing, what money you were spending and where. You know, it's like they had a way of following you or spying on you, and you swear that they must have some way of seeing your phone, whether it's been like cloned or something. So even if you tell someone that, they're like, yeah, I doubt that. You know, who would really do that? You go to the cell phone place, you know, your carrier, and you're like, I know this sounds crazy, but I'm pretty sure that there's something on my phone that shouldn't be there, and can you help me? Oh my God, how many of us have done this? Because they do that shit. They absolutely spy on you. They've been spying on you long before you knew they were spying on you. It's only ever the tip of the iceberg, right? Okay. I hope this has been helpful in some ways. I hope it tells you that you're not alone in your experiences, and I hope that it educates you in terms of that malevolent creativity, right? These are people who set out purposefully to harm and to break you down and isolate you and cut you off and make you feel incapable, alone, and powerless. And they're going to use the things that you would need in order to gain strength or gain access to the outside world. And they're going to make you afraid of those things. They're going to take them from you, or they're going to cut them off so that you don't have private access in that way. Okay, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Talk to you next time. Bye.
Welcome to SNAP, Survivors of Narcissistic and Abusive Personalities. This educational recovery podcast is presented by Claremont Mental Health and Mandy Friedman, licensed professional clinical counselor. This presentation contains vital information for survivors of abuse. Topics include the spectrum of abusive personalities, targets of abuse, abusive relationships, and survivors in recovery. We hope this information helps you gain solid footing and clarity as you navigate your road to recovery.